This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
It is Tuesday, May 20th. You know what that means. You know what today is. It is Jake Tapper Book Day. Yes, finally, Jake Tapper, that newsman, he's going to give you all the news that he covered up for the last 4 years. Jake and his pal, Alex Thompson from Axios, two of the participants in the biggest cover-up in American political history, will blow the lid off it today when their book comes out. And Jake can finally be what he pretends to be every day, a newsman, a journalist. This is amazing. I got bad news, two pieces of bad news for Jake. One, the biggest scandal in American history has been topped. We have a bigger scandal. The prostate cancer scandal is, believe it or not, worse than the cover-up of Joe Biden's senility, of his dementia. Yes, we will get into that. It is remarkable. And I think it's hard. This one is going to be hard for the media to do their usual job and protect the Biden family, to circle the wagons around Joe Biden. This is bad. And it could have been much, much worse if he had indeed succeeded in his attempt to seek re-election. If he had gotten another 4 years, we would have watched a man deteriorate mentally and physically in office, pass away in office, and hand the reins to Kamala Harris, the worst candidate for president we've ever seen in this country. Before we get to the big prostate cancer scandal, and man, we got a lot on this. It is just so egregious. These people are just unconscionable. I got a couple of thoughts. I want to get to the thoughts and prayers we keep hearing from people about Biden, but I do want to give Jon Stewart credit. I love, Democrat on Democrat crime attacks, and I know I've been saying this for a month now, that Jake Tapper is the biggest fraud in the media. Jake Tapper was as instrumental as anyone in covering up the condition of the 46th president. We played you the sound. He attacked Laura Trump. He actually went with the canard, the laughable canard that Joe Biden just has a stutter. And he just excoriated Laura Trump for making fun of him for his gaffes and blunders, which we did every day. And he said, how do you think it makes kids with a stutter feel? That clip is going to haunt Jake Tapper's dreams. It should, because that was really exposed him as a guy who will do anything and say anything to protect Biden. And now we want you to think he dug deep. He found out the truth. He says now he's humble. He has regrets. He should have covered it harder, worked the story harder. My ass, Jake Tapper knew exactly what he was doing. He was doing the same thing that Karine Jean-Pierre was doing, or Jen Psaki, or Joe Scarborough. He was working to get his guy elected, period. That's what Jake Tapper was doing. And now we want you to think it was just a little oversight on his part. It slipped by him. You know what happens? It's hard to imagine, and Jon Stewart will get to this. It's hard to imagine any real newsman, like real journalist. If you purport to be a journalist, you don't have a book come out on a certain date. This would be May 20th, and tease it for 2 or 3 months. Tell your audience for 2 or 3 months, wait till you read my book. That's not journalism. It's the opposite. I mean, it's amazing that his bosses at CNN, who again, they're just like Jake, they did their best to get Biden through his troubles. They failed. And now they're trying to get a little makeup here, trying to make up some ground. And I guess they're okay with him suppressing the news, holding back the news on his news show so he could cash in on it with this crappy book. This is not journalism. He should not be allowed to do this. And he has, so he should now be laughed out of every newsroom in the world. He should now go into makeup and tell them to put a clown face on, because Jake Tapper is nothing but a clown, just an opportunist, a propagandist. He's hoping to make, I'm going to guess, $500,000, maybe more, on this book, full, according to him, full of news which he didn't cover, which he held back, suppressed to benefit himself. That's not a newsman. I wasn't a big fan of Walter Cronkite. I don't think he would have done that. I don't think a real news guy, I mean, you name it, Brett Baer, would do this. Say, I got some big, really relevant, really timely, really topical news, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to make you wait till May 20th when you can get my book where books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's only $28 or whatever it is. And that's money going into his pocket. And he's on TV. It's not like he took a break, a leave of absence. He was on TV every night. I would actually flip by just to watch him and hate watch him, because he literally would talk about this subject and tell you, wait till you see what I got in this book in a couple of months. What does CNN get out of that? If you're his boss, don't you go in there and say, Jake, I saw an excerpt. You have to report that now. That's your job. Jon Stewart, again, not a big fan, but I love when the Democrats eat their own, and he goes hard after Jake Tapper. This was good. Go ahead.
You folks, but me, I'm on the pins and needles. I'm very anxious right now. I'm very nervous, very anticipatory. And it's not about whether Russia and Ukraine will be settled. It's not whether somebody can stop Netanyahu. Somebody, please. It's not whether Taylor's unfriended Blake. I don't know. No, like most people in America, I am most looking forward to reading a book. But when?
We're back with breaking news in our politics lead and a brand new excerpt from my upcoming book with Axios' Alex Thompson. It's called Original Sin. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. It's on Biden's decline. It's called Original Sin. I'm sure you've heard on May 20th. That's Tuesday. Original Sin. That's coming out in 3 weeks. On May 20th. That's just 19 days away. In 1 week and 1 day. Coming out in just a few days. Comes out Tuesday. You will not believe what we found out.
Don't news people have to tell you what they know when they find it out? Isn't that the difference between news and a secret? You won't believe what we found out. No, that's why I'm watching. Breaking news in a week.
That is so right. And everyone in the media should be pointing this out, regardless of what's in the book. He is intentionally, purposefully holding back real news, big news that he has, that he can report on his TV show. But he doesn't want to, because he's going to make more money if he waits. And he actually holds it up and says, you won't believe what's in this book. Jon Stewart's so right. That's why we're watching you, you a-hole. You're supposed to tell us the news. You're not supposed to tell us we have to spend our money on your stupid book. I hope nobody buys this book, but I have to be honest. People are going to. But with his forum and with all his friends in the mainstream media, they've done a good job of pushing it, of humping it, of promoting it. So he'll be plus the New York Times bestseller list is rigged. So they'll put him number one, I have no doubt. And he will make a lot of money. And then he'll come on next week and say, as I reported in my book, Joe Biden, here's a nugget. Again, eventually, maybe I can get it to the library. I still have a library card. Or maybe I'll shoplift at Barnes & Noble or borrow it from a friend. But it sounds like a good read. But we should have read this a year ago. We should have read this 3-4 years ago. Here's an item, a tidbit from 2020 in the book. Biden used a teleprompter with scripted questions for local news interviews during the 2020 campaign. So he's running for president, re-election, I mean, he's running for president. He's running to defeat Trump the first time. And to do a local news interview, which you have to do in these campaigns, he had a teleprompter with the questions scripted out in advance. Gee, Jake, you think that might have been worth reporting in 2020? Forget when he was trying to become president, when he succeeded in winning the White House and then destroying the damn country in so many ways. There's a lot of people involved in this scandal, and Jake Tapper is certainly one of them, as is Alex Thompson, who got an award from the White House Correspondents Association for his coverage of the Biden decline, which he started in like 2023, 2024. He ignored it, covered it up, mocked it when conservatives and podcasters and Newsmax covered it. They mocked us and said, oh, he just has a stutter. Are you a doctor? Well, no, I'm not a doctor, but I have eyes. I have half a brain. We could see it. We all saw it. And by the way, I think we have another name to add to the Biden crime family, another capo in the crime family. And this is why I think the newest scandal, by the way, a scandal that emerged, that became public because Biden, Jill Biden, I think, and the whole Biden team, because they were trying to take the attention away from two stories, both involving Joe Biden's cognitive decline. One would be the Tapper book. The other would be her audio tapes, which were devastating, as we played for you yesterday. I mean, you hear that and you say, that was October 2023. He had 15 more months and he was non-compos mentis. He was gone, shut. He was a vegetable. He was a corpse. He had 15 more months and major news, issues, wars around the globe. And this feeble old man was president because they covered it up. They lied. They hid him, and the media cooperated. Now we can tie this all together because one of the people who participated in the cover-up, his name is Kevin O'Connor. He's the White House doctor. He's not some world-famous, acclaimed, renowned physician. He's a Biden crony. It's remarkable. You probably won't hear about this much, but he's the guy that gave Joe Biden his physical every year. Joe Biden had 3 physicals. He didn't hold a press conference ever, never did a press conference, which is what the White House doctor usually does. He has an office in the White House. He traveled with Biden. He was very close to Biden. And he had 60 people working for him. And what do you know? They ran lots of tests. They just never ran that darn PSA test. They never checked his prostate. That's what they want you to believe. It's absurd on its face. Of course they checked his prostate. I'm just going to jump to conclusion here. And it wasn't good. And they didn't want to reveal it. So they said, we didn't test, didn't do a PSA, a prostate-specific antigen. We didn't run that test, which, by the way, cost $27 to run. And the president of the United States wants you to believe they never checked his PSA level. It's laughable. Here's what Kevin O'Connor, this Biden crony, said in 2024, February, his last physical, February 28th. He said, Joe Biden is fit to continue his presidential responsibilities, quote, without any exemptions or accommodations, the White House physician said in a statement. Biden is a healthy, active, robust 81-year-old male who remains fit to successfully execute the duties of the presidency. And he went on about the tests they had. He's got a little acid reflux, a little sleep apnea. But again, robust. That guy looked robust to anybody a year ago. Anybody? This guy is a liar, and he should be dragged before Congress today. All right, I've heard in the last 48 hours, I'd say 20 different doctors, TV doctors, your Dr. Drew Pinsky's and Dr. Ezekiel Emanuel, and you name it. Not one of them believes Joe Biden just got this diagnosis last week. That's their story, and they're sticking to it. It's the least believable thing this pathological liar has ever said. I want to get a statement too, by the way, which is bizarre. We are just so worn down and so used to the lies from these people that we're just going to move on, wish them well, thoughts and prayers. It doesn't work that way. Every day in this country, 9,000 people die. Every hour, 350 people die. Joe Biden's going to die. This is a terminal diagnosis. If I had to guess, I'd say sooner rather than later. It spread, it metastasized to the bone. There's no cure, there's treatment. And maybe he'll be like, he'll be like Jimmy Carter. Maybe he'll hang around for a while, but it's not good. And if he were president, if they had got what they wanted, we would be watching the president of the United States deteriorate before our eyes. And Kamala Harris would be president any day now. That is frightening. And that's what they were fighting, lying, conspiring to protect. I don't think we really understand the depths of this deception, of this deceit, that they knew he had that cancer. Ezekiel Emanuel, a Democrat, the godfather of Obamacare, a big supporter of Biden, said he could have had it 10 years ago. It's very slow moving. He's had it for years, and they knew it, and they lied about it. And they actually said, let's see if I can get that. They actually said, well, what do you know? It happened, it happened when they checked his prostate and he had a nodule last week. That's just flat out false. That is not what happened. That is not how this works. And I don't think anybody, here's this statement the other day. It's remarkable on Sunday. Last week, President Joe Biden was seen for a new finding of a prostate nodule after experiencing urinary symptoms. On Friday, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer characterized by a Gleason score of 9 with metastasis to the bone. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. That statement is bizarre. Most people have been touched by cancer. God knows I have. I've never heard of a Gleason score. I had to look it up. And they include it in the initial statement. And then they point out it appears to be hormone sensitive. You find that out? This is what they claim happened. This is what they're claiming on Friday, like 3 days ago, that they reached this point. Why? Why are they telling us this? Why are they telling us he has urinary symptoms? That's awfully personal, and it's designed in a way to make you think that it just popped up out of the blue, when it did not. It did not. They knew it, and like everything else for the last 4 years, they lied. They all knew they lied. And again, we don't wish cancer on anybody, but I watch these anchors, these hosts, these media people, these politicians saying, I'm praying for him. Yeah, sure you are, Harold Ford. You're praying for him. There are kids dying of cancer in every city in this country right now. I think I'd pray for them before I'd pray for this 82-year-old reprobate who had the cancer and lied over and over again. That's a scandal. The White House physician is supposed to tell you the truth about him because it's not just another patient. It's the president of the United States. There are real consequences. Hell, there may have been real consequences, as Trump has talked about many times, including this morning. Who was operating the auto pen? Who? We know that already. There've been real forensic analysis of his signature. It's not his signature. It's an auto pen. The only one that has been confirmed to be a legit signature is Hunter Biden's pardon. And that's obviously because that's the one guy he wants to protect more than anyone else. But all the rest were done by auto pen. And we're supposed to think this feeble old man was actually cogent and lucid. Of course he wasn't. And by the way, the treatment that he was getting for cancer may have contributed to his mental state. As we've seen, a number of people have focused in on his hands. And when he was on The View, he's got a bruise and marks right where he would get the IV. He is undergoing treatment as we speak. And they lied every year, this guy, Kevin O'Connor. By the way, Kevin O'Connor was a big campaign contributor to Joe Biden. He's been with him for decades. He was with him when he was vice president. He gave money to his campaign every year. He worked for his campaign. He held signs to get him elected. He's a Delaware deep state hack who was brought to D.C. not because of his talents as a physician, because of his connections. He's allegedly a close friend of Jill Biden. She knew that if she got this guy in that spot, in that office, that he would participate in this cover-up. Kevin O'Connor was a business partner of the Biden family, a donor, a campaign worker. There's only two possibilities. He didn't screen for prostate cancer, which he claims, which is bad, or he did, and then he lied about it to protect Biden. I tend to believe B, but even if it's A, you're not doing a prostate cancer screening. Now, you hear some doctors say they don't do it on old guys over 70 because the cancer's so slow moving, it doesn't matter. I lived through this with my father. They give you these, he was in mid-60s, and they give you these radiation seeds, and they keep you alive for 15, 20 years. And that's what you do when you're old. But they check for it. They run the test. And we're supposed to believe they didn't run the test for the president of the United States because it's, too costly? Too onerous? It's a blood test. You get blood tests for hundreds of different things. He either lied or he didn't do the test. I tend to believe A. Of course they did the test, but before we get to Biden, refresh Biden's one moment of candor, I want you to get that clip from CBS News this morning. They found a doctor. I'm sure it wasn't easy. A doctor who would indulge the fiction that the Biden family just found out about this last week. It is amazing. They can't even find a doctor. Usually that's easy. CNN, MSNBC, they have all these doctors on speed dial. Come in here and say what we want you to say. Well, this doctor, they found her. I don't know what her name is, but her husband was the Sports Illustrated guy who died at the World Cup last year. But here she is speculating on why they may have missed this cancer in Joe Biden. Go ahead.
Took a while to do that. Wouldn't he be getting regular checkups?
Yeah, so it depends on the kind of cancer you're talking about here. We do know it's quite aggressive again. So the time in which it would take to spread to the bones is going to be shorter than with a less aggressive cancer. And he's 82. Normally, doctors will stop screening for prostate cancer at 75 or so, because after that, the prostate cancers you typically pick up are very slow growing. And so the harms of all of the testing and treatment for something that may not kill you, you're talking about risk versus benefit. It may not be worth the risk.
Isn't there a blood test that men can take to know if they have an issue that might warrant further examination?
So there's something that we call a PSA test, but that can also be indicative of many different things. It could just be you have an enlarged prostate. Maybe you have a low-grade infection in the prostate. There are many things that can cause that. And so this is, again, why after a certain age, doctors will typically stop screening for prostate cancer.
Wow.
But in his case, it's not screening. It's important to emphasize this was diagnostic because he had urinary symptoms. And so there was a reason to do more testing.
Quickly, what is your final message to men of a certain age?
Well, men of a certain age, you need to be seeing your primary care doctor for regular exams. And it's not just for prostate cancer.
She actually wants you to believe that they didn't test him because, why bother? Cost some money, cost $27. He's the president. He's it's kind of important. Or even worse, he was a candidate. He was a candidate 9-10 months ago. And he was president 3 months ago. A guy who who is not well. He is not well. He is not doing well. And we've seen it with our own eyes. And they tried to just gaslight us for years. And it's over. Here's that moment again. This was in Massachusetts, in Somerset, Mass. In 2022, when I've decided, I've seen this thing 25 times. And we mocked him at the time because we assumed he was just making stuff up the way he always does, just rambling, lying. I think after looking at it again, this was a brief moment of honesty, of truth. Joe Biden didn't say he had cancer. And that's what the White House said. He had melanoma back when. He says, I have cancer. He told the truth. Check it out.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
I, along with so damn many others I grew up, have cancer. I think he's telling the truth there. I mean, obviously, he's had it for years. Nobody disputes that unless you're like that hack doctor they just put on CBS. Even Democrats, even staunch, hardcore Democrats can't participate in the cover-up any longer. This is worse. This is worse than the dementia, because dementia was, it was a matter of opinion, I guess. Does he have dementia? Does he not? Well, we'll see. This was a test they ran. This was a diagnosis they had that he was indeed suffering from prostate cancer. It was terminal, and they covered up and they lied and they relied on their guy, Kevin O'Connor, who should be subpoenaed today. It's that serious. All right. Speaking of people who should be subpoenaed today, we got to get to James Comey. And we ask once again, when the hell is he going to be arrested? It's begun. If you haven't been paying attention, it's begun. A congresswoman from D.C. is being charged. Yes, it's happening. Finally, and at last, we're going to get an arrest. But it had better be one of many. And I'm just hoping, I'm praying, yes, I'm praying that James Comey is on that list. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
If you're still tossing and turning all night and feeling edgy during the day, let me tell you about CBD from CB Distillery. Millions are turning to their CBD for relief because it works. In fact, over 90% of customers report better sleep with CBD. And it's not just sleep. CB Distillery offers targeted formulations for just about everything: sleep, stress, mood and focus, pain after exercise. I got that too. They even have CBD for pets, and it's all made from the highest quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, just premium CBD. I've been taking it for sleep for the last couple of weeks, and it's been amazing, sleeping like a rock. With over 2 million satisfied customers and 100% money-back guarantee, CB Distillery is the source to trust. If you're struggling with sleep, stress, or other health concerns and haven't found relief, make the change, like millions have, to CBD from CB Distillery. And for a limited time, you could save 25% off your entire purchase. Visit CB Distillery and use promo code Callahan. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code Callahan. It has begun, thankfully, and at last, they're arresting lawless Democrats. Before we get to her, LaMonica MacGyver, and I don't even understand the defense. It's like the judge, that Dugan in Milwaukee. I don't get the defense. We know what you did. It's a crime. How you can claim that's some weaponization of the DOJ or Trump going after his political enemies is beyond me. It's not some made up thing about paying off a porn star 20 years ago. It's a crime. We know the name of the guy. We heard, we saw. ICE agents had to chase him down after you let him out of your courtroom. You're guilty. So is LaMonica MacGyver. But I want to get to this guy because I don't think I'm ever going to be satisfied until James Comey is fitted for an orange jumpsuit and a handcuffed. He is just such a psychopath. Every time I listen to this man, I look at him. It is amazing. He was director of the FBI. He's a partisan hack. His posts on Instagram. He's like a narcissist and a lunatic. He posts about trans rights, gay pride, and all this. And Harris Walls, a big Harris Walls guy on social media, even though the FBI director is supposed to be nonpartisan. He said, he claimed in one of these interviews, he's pushing some novel. Talk about a book that I can't imagine anyone would ever buy. A novel by James Comey. I guess he's written, or someone's written a few of them for him. Maybe he's making money. Good luck to him. But he talked about he refused to play basketball with Barack Obama because he thought it would be a bad look. And he was attacking Kash Patel for spending time with Trump, saying you can't be the president's friend. Well, you were the president's attack dog. You were as political as anyone. You were in the White House planning the Russia hoax with Obama and Biden, by the way. He was the godfather of that. This man has lied over and over again under oath. And for some reason, he's above the law. Some people are above the law, and it would be this clown. So he's out there trying to do damage control because, as we talked about last week, he put the shells on the beach in the shape of numbers 8647, meaning kill Trump. It's pretty well-established code for kill Trump. As I mentioned, you see these signs at all these rallies with this rabble, this anti-Trump rabble. I was at a rally in Boston. There had to be 3 or 4 people with 8647 signs, but those are rabble. Those are just low-life, radicals. This is the director of the FBI sending out a message saying kill Trump. And of course, we know he put the shells in that shape and spelled it out with the shells. And of course, we know he knew what it meant. So now he goes on this book tour and just flat out lies. Do we have a little bell or something, Ironhead? Because I want to hear a bell every time he lies. I counted. There's about 6 or 7 lies in this 1 minute and 12-second clip. I'll do it. I'll give you the ding. But it's remarkable. He wants you to think, first of all, that he just stumbled across those shells. This is a guy who posts from the beach all the time, often with shells. And he put the shells in that shape and said, oh, wasn't me. Someone else did it. If he were on a polygraph, the thing would be exploding. He's a despicable, dishonest man, dishonorable man. And he's out there with his pals, Nicole Wallace in this case, pushing a book that's I'm sure it's anti-Trump. It's about a right-wing talk show host that incites violence or something. I mean, no one's going to read it, but I'm sure he'll sell a few copies and make some money. But check this out. 72 seconds, one lie after another.
You are back in the middle of a political firestorm.
Yeah, for walking on the beach with my wife. So
yeah, that's what's for.
It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but
why?
That's the time we live in.
So take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare to answer questions about it. And we were walking back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells with numbers. And Patrice, my wife, said, why would someone put an address in the sand? And I said, I don't know. And we stood over it, and I said, I think it's some kind of like political message. And she said, 86, when I was a server, she did a lot of work in restaurants, meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's really clever. So then she said, you should take a picture of that. And I did. And I posted it on my Instagram account and thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with violence of any kind.
All right. It just starts with a lie. Oh, yeah, you're on a firestorm for walking on the beach. And they just stumbled across that message. And his wife said, is that an address? And he said, oh, I don't know. I mean, That's what we're going to get from this man, this psychopath. He could probably beat a polygraph. In fact, if they ever bring him in to testify under oath again, he'll just lie because he lies so comfortably. And again, if this were, every time I've tweeted about this, everyone says, yeah, but look at this guy who had an 86-46 shirt on, or this protester, or this social media guy. They weren't the director of the FBI. They didn't have the power to put their political enemies in prison, which is what he did. This guy was a tyrant who was wholly political, who was the personification of the weaponization of the federal government. Trump made one good move and one bad move with the Comey. Good move, he fired him. Bad move, he didn't fire him on day one. How did we not know what kind of snake this guy is? Truly amazing. Appointed by Barack Obama in 2013. Obviously, we know why Obama wants him there. He was there for 4 years under Obama and 4 months under Trump. Obviously, he's what you want. If you're Obama, that's what you love. That's what Biden loves. A guy who will go after your political enemies and try to put them in prison. It's just amazing. He was a U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York under George Bush. He's had real power to imprison his enemies for years, and he would still be doing it if he could be. He is despicable. All right, let's get to, speaking of putting our political enemies in jail, I'm all for it. I'm all for retribution, but they have to have committed a crime. God knows there's plenty of Democrats out there, leaders of the resistance who are committing crimes. And we've shown you this. You've probably seen this. Let's do LaMonica MacGyver. She's the congresswoman and an absolute embarrassment. If you're a Democrat, aren't you not embarrassed by this crazy woman? She went to the detainment facility in New Jersey, where they're putting real scum, real bad people, murderers, rapists, drug dealers, before they deport them. Obviously, all decent Americans, law-abiding Americans, support and applaud this, but not Democrats. No, they're all in. These are their people. Here's the scene outside the detention center when Democrats, 3 congresswomen, here she is, just shoved, there she is. She's the large woman in red. Easy to spot on video, just pushes an ICE agent, pushes another guy, forces her way to the gate, trying to stop them from detaining murderers. Here she is. She pushes this woman to this small ICE woman, pushes her too, clearly committing crimes. She's been charged, thankfully. Unfortunately, the mayor of New Jersey, Newark, they dropped the charges. But this is from ABC News. New Jersey Rep. LaMonica MacGyver was charged with assaulting law enforcement officers outside the ICE detention facility. Acting U.S. Attorney Alina Habba announced that she was charging the congressman with assaulting and impeding a law enforcement officer outside Delaney Hall, a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention facility. Obviously, she should be charged. Obviously, she should be convicted. Do we have to remind people that they put 1,500 people behind bars for January 6th? About 150 of them who were violent, who assaulted cops and broke things. Do we have to remind people that they put a guy, Douglas Mackey, in prison for 7 months for a meme mocking Hillary Clinton, that they arrested Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon for ignoring a ridiculous subpoena from the ridiculous January 6th committee? Do we have to remind them that they took Trump's mugshot and his fingerprints for some made-up case in Atlanta, that they charged him with 93 felonies in New York with some totally made-up case? What did you think was going to happen? So she is hopefully getting charged. She should be expelled from Congress. Reminder, they expelled George Santos, congressman from New York, Republican, gay guy, weirdo, wacko, a guy who lied about a lot of things. He lied about his grandparents surviving the Holocaust, his mother being at the World Trade Center on 9/11. He lied about playing college volleyball. He lied a lot, and he admits it now. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison, by the way. But before that, before he was convicted, they kicked him out of Congress, And 105 Republicans voted with the Democrats to expel him. He lied about a lot of stuff. He didn't assault police officers. She should be expelled today. I'm telling you. I like what Trump's been doing, moving at Trump speed, but man, is the Republican Congress, is Mike Johnson and John Thune a disappointment. They are just nothing done, passing no bills, arresting no Democrats, expelling no Democrats. But here's where Tom Homan and Kristi Noem should go next. If what you just saw from LaMonica MacGyver, who's charged with assaulting, impeding, and interfering with law enforcement, if she is a criminal, if that warrants charges, how does this not? In Worcester last week, they were trying to arrest an illegal alien who was charged with assaulting a pregnant woman. And a bunch of the neighbors came out and just started harassing ICE for doing good work, God's work. This is a city councilor right there in the middle of the screen. She's on the city council, and she has no problem just grabbing these guys, these ICE guys. She's about 3 feet tall, by the way. Maybe that's why they're not going to charge her. And she's just pushing and shoving and trying to stop them from making an arrest of a violent illegal alien. Look, she tries to drag them away. They keep pushing. She keeps coming. Her name is Etel. I have no idea how to say this last name. Haxiaj. Haxhiaj. Etel, a city council. There she goes again, grabbing another cop, pulling him off the woman, screaming at them. Why is she not charged? Can someone help me out here? Tom Homan, why? If I did that, if you did that, you're arrested on the spot. I didn't know you could impede law enforcement physically. She grabs him again, over and over again, on camera. That is a crime. Look at, she literally pulling the cop's arms off the suspect. Why wasn't she arrested on the spot? I don't get it. I think I do get it. She's a Democrat. You can do those things. She's a Democrat. We don't have look at her yelling at them, fighting for all she's worth to make sure, to try to keep an illegal alien who beat up a pregnant woman in the community. That's Democrats. That's what they believe in now, fighting for illegal alien criminals to stay in the community. This has got to change. You do that. Tom Homan promised, if you get in our way, we're going to arrest you. Well, there she is, literally holding on to the suspect, trying to stop them from taking her away. Someone else explain that to me. Why is that not a crime? Etel Haxiaj. Worcester is so. And by the way, the Worcester city manager said they were going to charge any local law enforcement with a crime for cooperating with ICE, for helping ICE to do their job. They were going to arrest them. Place is just, Massachusetts is gone. I hate to break it to my fellow, New England is gone. It is really, we are lost. We are just lost. But all right, we got more to get to. I want to get to this sad news from Scott Adams, Dilbert guy and podcaster and right-wing zealot. Big fan of Scott Adams. He had some really bad news. And you know how we talk about Joe Biden's age all the time? Well, he's not the only one who's aging poorly in front of the world. The last Democrat Speaker of the House is still in Congress, and she is speaking out, ranting, raving, and she's not looking good. We'll get to Crazy Nancy and her really public deterioration. It is not pretty. Nancy Pelosi, right now, not pretty. We'll get to that too. But first.
Excuse me.
Another volatile day on Wall Street? If the ups and downs of the market have you worried about your retirement, you're not alone. At SecureMyRetirement.com, we help you take control with strategies designed to protect what you've built. We create guaranteed income streams, protect your principal, and help you grow your savings. without risking it all to market swings. If the market is up, your investments grow. If the market is down, you lose nothing. No more sleepless nights watching your 401k take a hit. It's time for steady, smart, and secure planning, built for today's uncertain economy. Visit securemyretirement.com and find out how to retire with confidence, no matter what the market does. securemyretirement.com. Safe, smart, secure. securemyretirement.com. securemyretirement.com. Safe, smart, secure.
Yeah, this was sad. Scott Adams, who's he's been canceled pretty much. Just kind of does his own thing, does his own podcast. He's the Dilbert guy. He's written a bunch of books, and he announced yesterday that he is dying of the same prostate cancer as Joe Biden. Now, this is sad. This guy's only 67, I believe. And he said it's excruciating. He needs a walker. It's getting to his bones. And he said that he said, my life expectancy is maybe this summer. I expect to be checking out from this domain sometime this summer. And said he's in incredible pain and is considering taking a drink that will end it all. Man, that's brutal. He said it's same deal as Biden. It's too far gone. It's stage 4. And it's killing him. And that is a shame because he is a brilliant man. If you ever listen to him, he's just smart and different and creative. And he comes up with thoughts and ideas that no one else does. And he's like talking about it, saying it's good because he knows when he's going to die and he's going to go out in his terms, and good for him. I will say a prayer for him. How's that? He's a young man. And he's not an evil man. No. Speaking of evil men, evil women, I don't even know. This didn't get any coverage at all, but we got a real problem in D.C., hell, in this country. And everyone talks about term limits for Congress. Obviously, we should have term limits. Obviously, Congress, the longer people are there, the more corrupt they get, the more entrenched they get. It's a problem. Hell, we see it every day, more as much with Republicans as Democrats. Charles Grassley is 91. But think of the people who are like the titular heads of their parties. You got Maxine Waters, who's 85, I believe. James Clyburn in his 80s. Steny Hoyer. Chuck Schumer's getting old. I mean, these people are old and feeble. And I know we talked about this with Biden many, many times, but they couldn't do anything. I mean, literally anything. They couldn't work for Amazon. They couldn't work at Dunkin' Donuts. They couldn't serve as a security guard at the Capitol. If they were a Capitol cop, they would be forced to retire. If Nancy Pelosi were a air traffic controller, she would have been forced to retire 25 years ago. You wouldn't let them drive your car. You wouldn't let them walk your dog. And yet they are the most powerful people in the world. We have a problem. We need age limits. No one after 75. How's that? That's pretty old. That's years after you'd be retired. If you were a typical civil servant, school teacher, gym teacher, you'd be forced to retire. Why are the people who wield all the power allowed to stay in office, grow old, and die? This is not how it's supposed to work. This is not what our founding fathers had in mind, that 85 and 90-year-old people. Dianne Feinstein was completely gone, in a wheelchair, completely in the throes of dementia, didn't even have the ability to vote. And her aides, they voted for her. We played you that sound where she didn't know what they were talking about. And her aide just says, just say yes. And she went, yes. She died in office, in her wheelchair. She should have been in a nursing home. That's what Congress has become. Capitol has become the world's costliest nursing facility. And here is Nancy Pelosi, who not that long ago was Speaker of the House, the most powerful woman in the history of this country. I think she's still out there showing up in D.C. She went to Europe recently, broke her hip, fell down. I mean, she's supposed to be home with a shawl on her lap, comfortable, watching Wheel of Fortune, eating some rice pudding. She's not supposed to be voting on important legislation. She's making a speech to Emily's List, that big pro-abortion group that Democrats love. See if you can figure out what language this is in. Go ahead, play it.
More than 100 years since the Seneca Falls Content, 175 years. Emily, as you all know, stood for early money is like yeast. Past and present. But she taught candidates to consider circles of influence. We could call Ellen one of our earliest influencers. So women members, the 12 of us, including Barbara Kennelly, Barbara Boxer, Museums Green. In 1987, before she would agree to run, what sustains good public policy were a determinate factor for having the strategic insight to leading the charge for our House Democrats and candidates at the DCCC.
She literally can't get through a sentence. Jake Tapper just said she was tip-top, just has a stutter. Kevin O'Connor gave her a full, clean bill of health, said she's a robust 80, whatever she is.
Well, if Tapper just said that, that means he's going to have a new book out in about a year and a half.
Yeah. He'll get to the bottom of the cover-up of Nancy. But people are voting. I mean, she doesn't even have to campaign. She's 85. 85. What? 85-year-olds. I'm sorry. They're not supposed to be in Congress. People used to have dignity and say, I know my best days are behind me. Time to spend time with my grandchildren, or in her case, great-grandchildren. She's got a whole bunch of them. And yet she's in there babbling about whatever that was. I mean, you literally can't make sense of any of it. It's just, she'll be in there today voting against the big, beautiful bill, because she's so on top of things. But that is sad. She's probably drunk. I don't know. Maybe she's just impaired. That's what happens. That's why Joe Biden is so sick, because he's 82. He's not healthy. That happens. That's the way it works. And if you're lucky enough, you get people to lie about you, like Jake Tapper and Kevin O'Connor have been lying about Joe Biden for years. But we'll see. People are going to, I guess, buy the book. We'll find out how it goes. Hopefully, Jake, you make a lot of money because, man, you sold your soul and you will never be taken seriously again. We'll see how it goes. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching and listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
I want y'all to know that every day that I walk in those halls, regardless of whatever rhetoric they put out about me, I am a very serious lawmaker. At the same time, if you try me, you will find out. I just want to be clear about that, because I am truly a black woman at the same time.